How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks, so we focus on one thing: always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about MULN and as well as for Polestar. We saw a lot of volatility in the markets, we saw a lot of selling pressure, so we want to know what do these stocks look like going into tomorrow. So let's get into it right now. We'll start off with MULN. So we ended up closing at 70 cents, being down 6.14%. On the low, it tested 70 cents, and then on the high, testing 80 cents. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 97.099 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 74.514 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, but we dealt with a good amount of selling pressure. When we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, let's take a look at the price action. So we are trading below all of our major moving averages, which is the 50 EMA, the 21 EMA, and as well as the 9 EMA. And we also have a continuation of lower lows and as well as lower highs that it's been going on for the past 5 trading days. So this is clearly bearish. So we end up seeing a low at 70 cents. So if this selling pressure does continue, the next area where we have support for MULN is around 61 cents. So don't be shocked if we come down to these levels. Are we going to be able to bounce? There is a potential chance of that with bulls wanting to step in, and also we did have a news catalyst that came through and many might be waiting, but if we end up actually breaking through that level, I have to let you guys know we could come all the way down here to 52 cents, so please add that to your notes. If you're looking for a turnaround, you want to see some strength, we had resistance right at 80 cents, and you know what's not surprising? We continue to have resistance at this 9 EMA. I've talked about it over and over again. So if we want to see strength, we need to break above that 9 EMA and at least do a retest to the 21 EMA, which we've seen a resistance before in the past as well. The 21 EMA is at 86 cents, and we have the 9 EMA that is right at 80 cents. So that's what you're going to want to expect from MULN if you're a bull inside of this play. But from what I'm seeing so far, it looks like this selling pressure could easily continue, but at least you know the levels to look out for if it decides to make a bounce. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information from MULN. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings for August the 22nd, we have Calvert Variable Products Inc. that purchased 1,138 shares, and we also see for the 20th a closed position from Exodus. Now when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 54.30%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 28.82 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 100,000, updated 14 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 20.80%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 18th, it is at 54.16, and then for the close of the 19th, being at 54.30. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 15.79%, MULN does continue to have short squeeze potential. And also let's move on to the news that came out today for MULN. So dear MULN stock fans, mark your calendars for an October launch. Investors in MULN stock will want to keep an eye on the company in October when the company plans to launch its demonstrator 5 EV crossover vehicles. MULN Automotive notes that the electric vehicles will be fully functional. The company intends to use them for its strikingly different test drive tour this year, as well as for more demonstrations throughout 2023. According to MULN, the 5 EV crossover will feature a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack and a 325 miles of range. It will also be able to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles per hour. MULN will also produce a high-performance version of the EV that will go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 1.95 seconds and offer a top speed of 200 miles per hour. MULN Chairman and CEO David Micheray said the following in a news release: "We are thrilled to launch the first fully functional Demonstrator 5 EV crossover vehicles this October. MULN and Hofer have been working diligently to have these vehicles ready in time for MULN's strikingly different US tour. Congratulations to both the Hoffer and MULN teams on being able to make this monumental effort a reality. While MULN stock isn't seeing much activity on today's news, it could when the launch happens. That's why investors in the company will want to keep an ear open for when the actual launch takes place. So this is definitely some great news to hear, and I could see it being a catalyst for this stock at some point. We have to take into consideration that there was a lot of selling pressure inside of the markets. We had a strong gap down, so of course MULN would be impacted by this. But from the levels that I was talking about while taking a look at the chart, that's why I said please add that to your notes. Now let's move on to Polestar. Looking at Polestar, you can see we closed at $8.59, being down 4.56%. On the low, it tested $8.55, and then on the high, testing $8.89. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 1.784 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 1.334 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, and we had a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, the first thing that we can see, we are trading below all of our major moving averages, and we are on quite the downtrend. We could see a continuation of lower lows and as well as lower highs for the past 5 trading days. As far as for the low, we got down to 855, and we know that the 52-week low is at 853. So there's a strong probability we will break through that 52-week low going into tomorrow. And if we do decide to do that, then I could see Polestar maybe looking to test right here around $8. So I'll be watching that level very closely if you're interested in taking a position. But of course, make sure you do your due diligence because this is not financial advice. If it doesn't come down to $8, then I'm going to be expecting to see maybe support coming in around $8.30. Now, if you're looking for a turnaround and so forth, we ended up seeing a high at $8.89. So we need to see price action above that level so we can close in this gap right here around the mid $8.90 range. If it is able to do that, then you want to see if it can test the 9 EMA, which is at $9.25. And if it does that, then you want to see if it can gain some more momentum. Until the stock starts looking bullish again, it needs to reclaim the 50 EMA at $9.65. But if it's unable to do this, then this is going to be an area of resistance you're going to want to watch closely. But overall, just by taking a look at the chart, I just see a lot of weakness, and the selling pressure could easily continue as this week progresses. Let's move on. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Polestar. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings we see here for the 20th, we have Exodus Point Capital Management that purchased 300,000 shares, and we have GK Advisor Shares Gerber Kawasaki ETF that purchased 36,435 shares, and the rest we have already covered. So it's good to see institutions loading up. And then when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 53.29%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is at 408,721 shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 30,000, updated 20 minutes ago, and then for the short ball fee rate, it is at 159%, and the start of the day was at 136%. Now, when we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 18th, it is at 55.15, and then for the close of the 19th, being at 53.29. So that is still up there, and taking into consideration the data that we went over, Polestar does continue to have short squeeze potential, even though it does have a short interest percentage of the float standing at 7.76%. And that pretty much sums up the video. Like I was saying when I was concluding the MULN portion, we saw a dramatic sell-off inside of the markets, a big time gap down inside of the pre-market. So a lot of stocks were impacted, but we want to see as this week progresses, will these stocks pick back up? If they do not pick back up, you know the levels that you want to look out for in regards to the downside. So if you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and if you found a lot of value out of it, make sure that you hit the like button. I'll be talking to you guys real soon.